Welcome to another episode of Alternative Improvised Radio, or AIR. I'm your host, Don Kleppen, and joining me this week is my good friend, Greg Broderick.
That's me!
How's it going, Greg?
Hi, I'm glad to be back.
Yes, we are glad to have you back.
Yes,
lovely. And on Greg's right is our good friend, Joseph Room. What's up, Joe?
What's good, Don?
Not much.
Yo,
How you
Joe's
doing
in
over
the
there?
room,
What's
dog.
up, Greg?
Yo.
I know your last name was Broderick. I thought you had like some
Secret
ski, like with a C-Z-I-C.
Cerniak or like...
You just look very Polish to me. I'm sorry.
I'm not
Whoa.
even Polish.
I
Not
know,
even.
but
Not
I thought you had
ounce.
one of those.
You got a Polish face.
Yeah, you do.
I got that round face.
Yeah.
It's because I've
It's
been
been
living in
around.
the Midwest too long.
Gotcha.
It's been around.
Mm-hmm. It certainly has.
It's around right now.
Sure.
But anyway, we got some topics picked out here. We're going to start shoving these off soon here. You guys ready to go?
Absolutely.
I'm always ready.
Okay, here we go. We're going to kick off another episode of AIR. Whee! Fun stuff.
It's
Gotta
a
love it.
hot-ass theme song.
Get you
Oh,
pumped
right
up
there.
every
Damn.
time.
Always, every time.
Every time.
Every time.
I'm sporting half chub right now.
Whoa! We haven't even
Oh,
started
you know,
yet.
yeah,
I know.
I mean,
It's an exciting show.
It's a good way to preempt.
Powerball. Speaking of,
$900 million is the current payout.
that ought to get you to a full chub, right?
Oh man, I would have a hard-on for the rest of my life,
How could
or at
you
least
not?
until I burn out of all the money.
Right. When you win a $900 million jackpot, I would think that like your dreams become like the not fun part of your day. You wake up and you're like hard for the day, like ready to go. Oh man, like I'm just pumped to live my life. I have
I'm already in my
fucking
my
million
condo
dollars.
in
all
Miami.
the money I'll ever need.
Right. And I did
just-
nothing for it except
yeah,
buy a Powerball
Except
ticket.
I got really lucky.
Yeah.
And as I'd like to, of course, I think The Hunger Games has a very poignant quote we can take from it about the lottery and how it works. May the odds forever be in your favor.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh.
I really thought you were going to go a different way with that. Like,
yeah.
someone wins $900 million, they take over the world, they put it into a
not
dystopian
quite President
future.
Snow
and
or
then,
President Coin style, but
Right.
we're definitely talking about that lottery that they have.
It's
when they
possible.
pick for the reaping and the
Would
actual
you,
games.
Yeah, right. Would you guys, for the Powerball, for instance, you guys pick your numbers or you just let the computer do it?
I let the computer do it because I'd always pick the same numbers, and I feel like my numbers would be the
No good.
wrong pick every single time. Like
But you're
not
gonna
even
stick
close.
with it. You're going to stick with those numbers, though.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people like to do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But I feel like it's more unlikely to win with numbers that you pick as opposed to just saying, go full on random. Let chance take all of it.
Yeah, right. The experts, quote unquote, say that you're bettering your chances a bit with letting the computer do it.
There is a very poignant thing gamers know of called the random number generator that they built into loot systems, and we like to refer to RNG, as it's commonly known as RNGesus. You're praying to RNGesus that you get a good roll on an item you want.
I hope the
And
sword
I
is
kind
good
of
enough.
Also
Yeah.
equated it to, when you let the computer decide your numbers for the lottery, that's exactly what it is. You're just hoping that RNGesus shows up and gives you
Right.
good luck.
Way to peel back the curtain on some gaming lingo there, Joe. Some good stuff.
Well, thank you.
RNGesus.
There was layers to that.
RNGesus, yeah.
I know.
RNGesus.
I'm into it. I'm into
Cool,
it.
cool.
Okay, so anyway, you win the Powerball. You've got $900 million in your pocket. What are you going to do with it? Probably some whatever the hell you've always wanted to do in your life. But
I'd spend it all within like the first week.
It's not possible. It's not.
It's really- you'd have to-
$900 million. That's
think it's-
900 followed by 6 zeros.
I know.
It's not. That is so much money. I don't think people have a concept
You could probably
of what
buy,
$1
like,
billion is. This is $100 million less than $1 billion.
you could buy like an island, and
Let me
feel
put
like
it into
you'd-
perspective for you. You can go and buy some famous celebrities' home in Hollywood Hills for between $2 and $4 million. We're talking about one of those estates of like Will Smith.
Okay,
of
a Will Smith estate is going to be
Kardashians.
like $40 million. easily.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. But there are. Will Smith is perhaps a bad example, but there are
Yeah,
like
let's
those
use Nicolas
celebrity
Cage.
homes.
I think he has a bigger house.
C-list. Let's go C-list. Yeah, they're going to have some easily affordable between
But
two and like
$2 and $4 million gets you these mansions out in the hills.
True.
Is
You
what
could
I'm
buy,
saying.
you could buy a bunch and
Let's-
like rent them out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just gonna push all the famous people out of this. This is Gregland.
Yeah, and you could run like an Airbnb out of all your little mansions.
Just as long as your maitre d' or master of ceremonies was Russell Brand.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the guy that you
Absolutely.
want doing
Of
it for
course.
sure. But I know, speaking of spending money on ridiculous things, there was one couple that did something pretty weird, right, Greg? Cloning.
This is the weirdest story I've heard all week. So, a UK couple, their boxer died. It's an 8-year-old dog. It died from a brain tumor and a heart attack. So, this couple, out of grief, they got DNA of the dog, put it in their freezer in their garage, and sent it to the South Korea cloning facility, and they made 2 dogs for them. But like the first time, the sample that they sent them failed.
Oh God.
And from what you need to do with cloning is that you have a 5-day period between the death of an animal to clone it. This dog's been dead for 12 days now.
Oh, so this DNA is kind
So
of
this
expired,
DNA
if
is
you
a
will.
little.
So they have the DNA is what you're saying they kept in their freezer, but not like
No.
dog's corpse.
The
Right,
dog's
that's what
corpse.
Oh, Jesus.
So they went into depth talking about unfreezing their dog. They had to take their dead frozen dog
And it's
out
a
of the
boxer,
freezer.
and it's 8 years
God.
old, so it's a pretty
big dog. They
Yeah.
took pictures of it,
Oh my
and they had to
God.
leave it out to defrost.
Oh God.
So they could get the samples again.
I'm
And the whole
sorry.
time they're just like, it was very traumatizing. We had to
No
wait for our
kidding.
dog.
At what
we had to wait for our
point-
dog
at
to
what-
unfreeze.
Yeah, like at what point did that seem odd maybe to them? I wonder if clearly it doesn't. They're probably still happy because they got 2 new dogs, right?
Yeah, they got
Same
2
dog.
puppies out
the
of it.
same dog.
Now they're
literally.
talking-
Yeah, the same dog with
It's a
the brain
clone.
tumor.
Yeah.
So it's gonna have the brain tumor.
It's one
Right,
of them
right,
will,
right,
yeah.
because it has the same exact
It's
DNA
the
as their
dog.
previous dog,
Yes.
right?
It was copied with the tumor still in its brain.
It's just at what point does this like become crazy? Like, was it when they shoved their recently deceased dog into a freezer, which was meant to store food? Like, is in no way that size. First of all,
Well, let me just, and again, size, of course, is something we have to consider. My uncle had a parrot that he was very, very close to. The parrot lived 21 years.
Whoa.
And when it died, he
Alcohol
stuck that thing
poisoning.
in its freezer.
what?
He kept it. He could not come to terms with burying or cremating, whatever
Yeah.
they do with pet birds. So he prepared like a wrap for it and stuck it in the back of his freezer for 6 months. I mean, that isn't as crazy to me as pulling it out and having it cloned.
Defrosting it?
Having it cloned.
I don't know,
because
man.
people
'Cause
deal with grief in all sorts of ways. When does it become, of course, ridiculous? Is when you decide you need to clone your dead
No,
pet.
for me it gets ridiculous at the freezer.
Really?
For me, I could never stick, no matter how close I was with something. After it's dead, it doesn't go in my freezer.
I'm not gonna make copies of my dog.
I mean, what do you think morgues are? They're people freezers.
Yeah, but they don't. Okay, that's because no one has they have nowhere to go, and they don't stay there either.
Well, if you were going to try to bring your dog back to life, or you're going to have a proper ceremony or burial for it, yeah, people don't live in morgues, but dead bodies can stay in morgues for some time. That's.
I put
But
a
a,
pair
mor-
of
a
people
morgue
freezer.
is made specifically so that the body is kept in a cold environment, but it isn't completely frozen because they still need to remove the organs and get it ready for the funeral.
Yeah, right.
With this dog was literally picked up after it died of a heart attack in their house and thrown into a freezer.
And I get that. But you have to, again, understand that
Do you think
not
what you said?
everybody...
And I get that.
Not
What?
everybody, of course, has the technology that our morgues do. So in the case
Well,
of
apparently
needing
these
to
guys,
preserve-
dude, they had an industrial freezer in
I
their
don't
garage.
think everyone has the
And
need to
but-
have that technology.
Let me just finish and say that whatever they had clearly worked for them because they have 2 dogs now that are clones of their original dog.
Great, and they can just keep perpetuating this crazy cycle. That
Yeah, just
they
spend,
live
the
in.
you know?
$100K that's needed to do
That's,
it.
you got to
Totally.
keep the
Physical
economy
time.
stimulated.
Totally,
Let's go.
Totally, yeah. But speaking of crazy things out there, hydrogen bombs. North Korea.
North Korea. So let's real fast give a quick update on, of course, our favorite leader, Kim Jong-un.
The chubby-wristed dictator.
Absolutely, man. Have either of you, by any chance, seen the interview?
Yeah.
Yes.
You both have?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
came
you'll
on
get
Netflix.
all the jokes and references that I make.
Which I hope are going to begin and end right now, because we don't need to just, you said all the jokes. There's not a lot of great jokes in the interview.
No, I'm aware.
Okay, great.
But I mean, the point of the matter is,
Sorry, go ahead.
this is a man who does not poop. But
Right,
yet can sit there and tell the world that he's detonating a hydrogen bomb, or better known as, well, it's better known as a hydrogen bomb, but this is a thermonuclear warhead underground somewhere in North Korea. I don't buy it.
Here's the thing. This all was tipped off by a reading of an earthquake, right? Some kind of 5.3 nearby. South Korea felt it. North Korea feels it. And then North Korea comes out and says, oh, that was it. That was a successful test of a hydrogen bomb. That's what we were working on, a hydrogen bomb, in secret. You guys didn't know about it. Doesn't it just seem, does anyone else think that maybe like an earthquake just happened and then they seized an opportunity? Like
Kim's just looking for any excuse to make himself look powerful in the eyes of the world.
He's like, let's
because
stay relevant.
he's such a joke. He's such a joke compared to his father.
Yeah, well, of course. But the problem is that they're all jokes. They sit there in an isolated country and they tell, I mean, what they do to the populace of that country is obscene. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't even have internet. Those people believe things in a modern world that is ridiculous.
Hasn't been relevant for hundreds of years.
Right, and then and they're starving. Like at 33 years old, most of them have cataracts and can't even see, and yet they worship this guy and they say thank you for everything we have, while he's buying hundreds of
Always
thousands
making
of dollars
basketball trips and
Jordan memorabilia. He's
Cult
hanging,
personality, man.
flying Dennis Rodman over to the country so he can feel like he's like bumping
Oh,
elbows.
Rodman, please, let me touch your
Extremely.
enormous bulge. I want to feel what it is like to be such a talented basketball player as you.
Let me stand next to you.
I want to feel your arms.
Wait, let me sit on your shoulders and then I will dunk the ball.
How often do you walk out? Your arms look like anaconda.
You are chiseled from granite.
Wow. But to get back to the whole topic of the hydrogen
Please
bomb,
bring it back.
real fast, of course, we, again, a bit of an update here, a bit of a lesson. There are two kinds of nuclear bombs in the world. There are atomic, and then there are thermonuclear. Atomic bombs use fission, nuclear fission, which is smashing atoms. Fusion, splitting.
Fission is
sorry.
splitting.
And fusion is smashing. Got
Yes.
it backwards. Thank you. And the fusion produces like 150 times the energy of fission.
Right.
And what a lot of experts around the world have said, that even if the hydrogen bomb part that they're claiming that they've done is true or not, there are different categories of how you build nuclear weapons, and it cannot be called a true thermonuclear bomb unless it's entirely a nuclear fusion warhead. Because you can have fission warheads that have hydrogen riders to create some fusion, give them some extra punch. But to kind of put it into perspective, again, a fission bomb that you drop does the kind of damage that you saw in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Right.
A hydrogen kind of bomb that you would drop would probably wipe out half of the United States. These bombs are no joke.
Yeah, as you said, their fusion is significantly more powerful than fission. These fusion reactions are what happens inside the sun.
Inside the sun.
So
Yeah.
it just kind of gives you an example of what that's capable of.
Plus, if they're letting this off underground, don't you think that's just going to fuck up the entire ecosystem?
think about
Yeah,
the
right.
area?
fallout.
Right, or don't you think? So if they
That's
successfully
literally
hit-
destroying everything from the ground up.
Right, and so it's like you figure if they detonated it underground, whatever, don't you think like them and Japan and like 3 other countries would have just fallen beneath the waves by now, because that's an extremely powerful
Yeah, plus the
explosion.
amount of radiation would kill all of the life in the area.
They're
Right.
just north of the Ring of Fire, which is one of the most seismic parts on the planet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I believe personally that it's like, I think an earthquake just went off and someone was just like, oh, hey,
Let's
yeah,
use this to our
it was a
advantage.
successful bomb
It was
drop.
a-
Yeah,
we
we
did
did
it.
it. We did it. And,
Just
and
good
it was,
job,
and it was
everyone.
hydrogen. And it was hydrogen. Yes.
Seeking that fame, seeking that popularity, and I guess in his case it's notoriety because I don't really think Kim Jong Un's gonna ever win a personality, or no, he's nobody's favorite. And let's be honest, it's very easy to marginalize Kim Jong Un when you have threats like ISIS running around.
Right.
exactly.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
When everyone's up in arms about that, and then all of a sudden this literal bomb drops, and all of a sudden everyone's putting focus back on North Korea.
Right,
So
right, exactly. Speaking of notoriety and being famous for things that you really shouldn't be, El Chapo back in prison.
yo, I
arrested
say,
again.
you want to
They-
make a movie about me?
Listen, so this is what happens. According to CNN anyway, tonight El Chapo was recaptured. He's back in the same Mexican prison that he escaped from, but they're saying he'll be extradited to the U.S. sooner rather than later. But anyway, they're saying that a big reason why he was caught this time was because he or one of his representatives was reaching out to Hollywood, to actors and producers, to make sure that someone was making a biopic about him and his life. So I cannot help but just be floored. It's like this guy 6 months ago walks out of his maximum security jail cell in Mexico scot-free after the life that he's had and all the money and the power that he's still got out there in the world. He could have gone anywhere, done anything. He could have just disappeared off the map. And instead, before he does that, he has to make sure. He's so vain that he has to make sure that somebody is making a movie about him and his exploits before he goes off the grid. Because he's got to see that shit someday.
Sure.
Can you
Kind
believe
of
that?
Like you said with the Pablo Escobar. And
Right.
I also brought up Making a Murder, the biggest thing on Netflix.
Yep.
I think what you have to realize about El Chapo is that he's not people like we are. To be that kind of villain, to be that kind of evil, that running an international drug cartel entails, to be the top dog of this huge black market industry that involves anything from racketeering to assassination. I don't know anything about the San Loa cartel. I think that's the one he's head of again, but he's not like normal people, and he's got such a strain of narcissism that I think comes from being like the supervillain syndrome. I think it has that, like,
Intensely
the hubris of
egocentric.
it.
Yeah. Well,
Plus the notoriety that it got for like attacking Donald Trump on Twitter and
yeah.
all of those.
Being relevant.
Yeah.
Again, being back in the conversation. I'm sure it's something that, once you're in prison, a guy like him can't have sat too easily.
Who do you think he got in contact with to play him? I feel like he got in touch with like
Luis Guzman. Our names are the same.
I was gonna say like Carlos Mencia.
Oh,
I was thinking
Jesus.
Carlos
You're the
Mencia would be
villain
good.
of the comedic world. Why don't you play me?
It would be perfect. You can merge my real life badassness with your
Or
comedy.
George Lopez.
George Lopez.
Why you crying?
That's the one.
Why you crying?
Exactly. No, it's
George, can you grow a mustache? Then you are perfect to play me in a movie.
You can do it. No, I just think it's just pretty. Joe, your point is valid about the sort of egocentricity that it takes to run an empire of that size. The studies say that like a good many CEOs are like psychopaths or exhibit psychopathic tendencies, and you just
Well,
it
he
ma-
was,
it
you
makes-
know, a murderer and a drug dealer.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
What would like El Chapo like? Maybe he wants to go into the sitcom route. Maybe he wants to make like a Cosby show, but the
Memoirs.
Chapo show.
right?
Memoirs.
Yeah,
Just
a
El
little
Chapo-
half-an-hour segments. Yeah.
El Chapo shows up in like a Christmas sweater, and he's like in an underground bunker, and he just like shot some dude. He's like,
And then
well,
his-
you see, everybody, I had to make sure that I am a businessman. I had to get everything out of control.
He shoots somebody, and his like wife walks in from the other room, and she's just like El Chapo, and he's just like, or Joaquin, and he's like, what? And she's
No.
like, on the carpet.
He'd be called
I'm
Choppy.
Choppy. But I think with guys, CEOs like that, we said the psychopathic tendency, the stuff like that. Those guys, they are very vain. They're extremely competitive. They have to be the best, and it has to be acknowledged. But and speaking of being the best in competitions, NFL playoffs
Sports.
going on right now.
Absolutely.
Earlier today, Kansas City Chiefs completely wiped the floor with Houston. 32
Embarrassing.
nothing
Embarrassing.
was the final score, I think. it's just, I mean, Kansas City has put together a really, really great defense. And think they had Jamal Charles, then they had Charkandrick West as their running backs, and now they're on this guy Spencer Ware, who the hell, wherever he came from, it doesn't even matter though, because he's also finding success. I think their system is excellent. Alex Smith is a really capable quarterback, and their defense is lights out. There's a lot of great defenses in the NFL this year, and Kansas City's one of them.
I would agree. Do you have a Super Bowl prediction for me?
I would love to see the Packers get there. I don't think that they will. I would say in the NFC, boy, Carolina and Arizona are both so strong that I think I would have to right now I have to go with Carolina. I think it's going to be Carolina, and I think that if Manning can come back strong like he looked, in the second half in their final game, Manning came back and led them to a victory. So if Manning is back for real and with Denver's defense, I think it could end up being Carolina-Denver in the Super Bowl.
Be interesting to see.
What do you think, Greg?
Sports.
Sports.
Actually, I'd really like to see Carolina playing. I honestly don't know who I would pit against. I'd say I'd really like to see Carolina play the Chiefs. I think that would be my. I think that would be my
cool matchup.
Super Bowl L.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
That's the Super Bowl.
Which is crazy. Hey, and they
Super
said
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Oh God, yeah, it is Super Bowl. And they said I think Beyonce just joined the halftime show with Coldplay.
Yes.
So it's going to be.
She's not going to do her signature solo.
Right.
But at the same time, we now have to endure Chris Martin's doucheness.
Yeah. Well, it'll be tempered by Beyonce's hotness. So it'll be.
He's pretty much at this point in his life. A douche. Sorry.
I don't know. I think
No
I think they've
apologies.
been both dead in my eyes since like in the mid 2000s.
Oh my God! So you just got two corpses up there just dancing on stage like marionettes.
Again, not a corpse, just douche.
Douche, right? Oh, but they could be well, you know what? I think they were corpses in the mid-2000s, and then someone was so in love with them that they stashed them in a freezer until they could defraw them and get the DNA and ship them to South Korea, and then they've got clones now of Beyonce and Chris Martin.
Beyonce. I mean, so they could sell that for a lot of money on the market. Oh, would you like a clone of Beyonce?
I think they did to the
You
NFL.
can pull out your pocket Beyonce and make sure you have her wherever you go.
Or choose your 6 elemental Beyoncés against the Pokemon trainers that you'd like to take on.
Go! Beyonce!
Use all the single ladies.
Use double slap to the left, to the
Go
left.
to the left.
Beyonce cast Halo. It was super effective.
Hello. Beyonce, come back. You've done enough. Anyway, I think we've done enough too. That's probably
I
gonna
think
do it
that's
for,
enough damage for one night.
Oh man.
Indeed. But it was another successful broadcast as always. Joe Room, thank you for coming in again.
Don, always a pleasure.
Much appreciated. Greg, Broderick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Donald Kleppen.
Always love to have you in.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you for joining us every week. You can tweet topic ideas at us at Alt Improv Radio. We'd love to read them and then hopefully work them into one of these shows. But thanks again for tuning in this week, and come back next week for another episode of AIR.